The accounts of what happened to the extended Samuni family in Zaytun are slowly emerging. Nawar and her family told us about being huddled in a single house with dead and injured family and neighbors. Paramedics were prevented by the Israeli army from entering the area for days. We went to see what's left of Nawar's house. Her husband Majid showed us the room his wife gave birth in. The floor their baby daughter spent her first few minutes on. The smell of dirt and blood here was overwhelming. Their children described the escape. Saying that they were shot at by Israeli soldiers who looked on laughing. We found Nawar's mother sitting near the house where she says her son was killed the same day as the rest of the family escaped. Since the end of the war, she hasn't moved from this spot. She described how she delivered her granddaughter.
It was night time and there was no electricity, so we held up a candle to see. The strikes and the shellings was all around us. The window was open and the baby started throwing up. She was very cold, so I put her in a blanket. I tried to take out the placenta, but there were more strikes, so it wouldn't come out for another 2 hours. And then Nawar started bleeding heavily. I cut the umbilical cord with a knife as it was around the baby's neck.
As we spoke to the people here, their horror stories echoed around the area that's witnessed what many are calling a massacre. Their accounts of mothers, brothers and sisters killed in front of their eyes beginning to emerge. And now, those from the Samuni household that survived Israel's actions are homeless, their livelihoods gone. This land, once one of Gaza's most beautiful and fertile, has become a graveyard full of memories that cannot be buried. Well, that's just one family, the Samuni family, who have lost their homes, lost loved ones and lost their livelihoods. There are tens of thousands now in that position. And I'm standing here inside one of the classrooms that have been turned into a makeshift home for thousands of refugees. In this one room alone, in fact, there are 25 people that sleep, eat and live right here. These people at least have mattresses. We've seen rooms here that don't have any mattresses, people sleeping on the floor, old people, young people, babies, all eating and sleeping in the same area. In fact, we spoke to one mother who told us that she can only change her baby's nappy once every other day because she just simply doesn't have enough. So it's a very, very difficult situation for people here. There's a lack of electricity, and like most of Gazans, they have to live with a lack of clean running water. There isn't even hot water, which of course makes any kind of sterilization very, very difficult, especially for all the huge number of kids that we see here. I just want to introduce you quickly to Sharifa, who's 17 years old and who's kindly agreed to speak to us on Al Jazeera. Sharifa, what happened to you? What's your story? I know you've been here for a few weeks.
My home burnt and destroyed. My room, my window, my door, my box, my notes, all of it destroyed and burnt. I not found a net of it, not, all of it destroyed. I can't find a net.
You're here with your family, right?
Yeah, my father, my sisters, and my brother, and my mom.
And what do you have left? What did you bring with you?
I haven't bring anything. This clothes not, and the clothes in my home, all of it burnt. I haven't any clothes for me.
And Sharifa, you're studying, you go to school, of course, so how are you going to continue?
Yeah, on Saturday, the school will start. I don't know how can I continue with my friends, my school, my teachers. I haven't box, not my bag, all of it burnt. I don't know how can I continue with my friends, with my school. How can I learn? Yeah.
Sharifa, thank you very much. Well, just one example there of the difficulties people are facing. And come Saturday, these schools will have to start operating as UN schools. So the tens of thousands that are still living in these makeshift shelters will have to find some other place to go. So although the war may be over, the hard part certainly isn't, as people continue to live with the effects of Israel's war on Gaza. Back to you, Ayman.
Thank you, Shireen. Well, in July of 2007, Israel imposed a stifling siege on the people of Gaza that has made life here practically unbearable. The economy has collapsed and people here have become increasingly dependent on international aid of some sort. Well, one of the lifelines that people here have been turning to get that kind of assistance and support have been the tunnels that run across the border between Gaza and Egypt. But when the war began, those tunnels were destroyed, not only affecting the smugglers or the operators of those tunnels, but affecting the people. Todd Baer has this report.
Beyond the enormous physical damage above ground, the destruction underground in Rafah is just as staggering. A network of tunnels that connects Egypt with Gaza that runs underneath the border is here. The Israelis targeted them because they say the tunnels are used to smuggle weapons to Hamas. But Abu Ahid, who owns a tunnel, says the only things smuggled through them are basic necessities like gas, food, clothing, and medicine.
You are asking me if these tunnels bring weapons? Where are the weapons? Where is the evidence that the weapons come through these tunnels? The weapons come from the sea and from Israel.
The number of tunnels here was estimated at more than 1,000 at one point. A lot of them ended up inside of people's homes. The Israeli airstrikes destroyed most of the homes along the border, some of which house the tunnels. Fedwa Bushta says this is the second time in 3 years that an Israeli airstrike has demolished her home. But she doesn't have a tunnel, and she says she doesn't know anyone who does.
If there are tunnels around us, what do they have to do with us? You were here, you came inside and saw. We don't have anything here.
People who live here say they had to dig the tunnels because of an Israeli blockade that restricted everything that came into Gaza. For Palestinians who were dependent on rations from the UN and EU, the tunnels became a lifeline for survival.
We didn't want to make tunnels. Israel forced us to do it. We don't have food for our children. The blockade forced us to work in these terrible conditions just to feed our children.
Now that many of the tunnels are bombed beyond repair, the economic impact is devastating. At this outdoor market where most of the smuggled goods are sold, the shelves are nearly empty. And shopkeepers we spoke with say that prices have gone up dramatically.
What we used to get for free is now expensive. What used to be 5 shekels is now 10, and even those items are not available.
Like so many others here, Abu Ahid has a crew of men working to rebuild his tunnel. The fighting has stopped for now. Israel has destroyed many of the tunnels, but the siege on Gaza continues. The border crossings remain closed, and people here are still cut off from the outside world. Todd Baer, Al Jazeera, Rafah in southern Gaza.
Well, Israel's war on Gaza has touched people all around the world, and we here at Al Jazeera want to hear from you, the viewers. So here's what you can do. Visit our website, aljazeera.net/English. Click on the Your Views banner to send us your thoughts. You'll also find war diaries, video maps, and all sorts of information about the war. We're taking a short break now. We'll have more on Gaza in ruins when we return. But for now, we will leave you with some of the images of human suffering brought about as a direct effect of this war. But we have to warn you, the images are disturbing.
We heard shooting and bangs and loud noises. We fled and we didn't find my father. Then we found him in the rubble and he was covered in blood.